Hola everybody, how you going? This is Back to Basics Math. Let's get this done. This is one of my favorite activities. As a teacher, if you'd like to do this activity, you can go to the PDF file that's in the description. You can download this, print it off, give it to your class, then go ahead and run this video for them. See how they did. But I always do a level up right before a test. It's a great way to study for a test. So if you want to get the description on how they're done in class, please download and read the directions. Okay, here we go. Level up, number 1. All right, so I'm going to add these up. I got 16 negatives and 23, I have 16 positives and 23 negatives. There's more negatives than positives, so I know my final answer is negative. And the difference between 16 and 23 is 7. So my answer is negative 7. This is like you have $16, you owe me 23. So if you give me 16, how much do you still owe me? You still owe me 7. All right? This is multiplication, parenthesis next to a parenthesis. A positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 9 is 36. All right, this is division. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 50 divided by 5 is 10. If you're using a calculator on this, make sure you use your parentheses wisely, and also make sure that negatives are negatives and subtraction is subtraction. On most calculators, they are different keys, right? So on my calculator, there's my negative and there's my subtraction. They are not interchangeable on many calculators. All right, let's keep going. If I have 7 negatives and 14 negatives, so this means you owe me $7, and then you decide, hey, can I borrow 14 more to go to the movie? Well, now you owe me 7 and you owe me 14. How much you owe me? So you owe me 21. Let's go. Good job. All right, this is a base and exponent. This means you're going to take your base of 10 and multiply it by itself exponent times. 10 times 10 is 100. Boom, let's go. This one's tricky because notice there's a negative in front. The negative comes straight down, and then I only square the 3. So that's 3 times 3. That is negative 9. All right, I'm going to take negative 1 and multiply it by itself 8 times. Notice this is in parentheses with the exponent outside of the parentheses. So that exponent of 8 means that you're going to multiply negative 1 in parentheses times itself 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so let's do this. Every pair that I multiply is going to give me a positive 1. So that's a positive 1, that's a positive 1, that's a positive 1, that's a positive 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. Now multiply those together, you get 1. Wow, that's a lot of 1s. I hope that made sense. It was kind of weird how I did that, but you know, weird works, weird works. That's level up 1. When you're done with level up 1, you take it up to your teacher will check it, and then if you got it all right, let's go. Then you get level up 2. If you didn't get it right, then what they're going to do is they're going to come through and say, yo, Skillet, you didn't get that one and you didn't get that one. So go back and do them again. All right? So that's how it kind of works. Let's move on. This is numero dos. All right, this is the order of operations. I'm going to talk about my terms first because I always think identifying terms is important. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So there's a total of 3 terms. I'm going to simplify each term. Negative 6 times positive 3 is negative 18. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. And here's what I mean by that. When you have 2 negatives, it makes a positive. I don't know what happened to my 8. Just like that. All right? So 2 negatives make a positive. All right, and then plus 24 divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Now I can add everything up. Negative 18 plus 8 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 4 is negative 6 because I have 6 more negatives than I have positives. All right, let's do number 9. I love this problem because you're gonna just do 3 problems in one, right? You got that grouping symbol. This grouping symbol holds that numerator together. That's the top of the fraction and denominator, right? And that grouping symbol means division. I'm going to simplify the top. So I have this term. This is all one term, and this is all another term. So negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Plus 18 divided by 9 is 2. Keep going. This gives me negative 18. Because if I have 2 positives, I'm going to take 2 positives away from those negatives, and they cancel out. And that leaves me with negative 18. Now the denominator, or the bottom, is 8 minus 14. 8 minus 14 is negative 6. So that is negative 6. Don't forget we have this plus 9 squared. All right, I'm going to go ahead and divide and do the exponent. Because they're separate terms, I just simplify my terms, which is really doing the order of operations, right? So I have 2 terms. I simplify each term before I can add or subtract. Negative divided by a negative is a positive 3. 9 squared is 9 times 9. That's 81. Add those up. Woo, let's go. That's good stuff. I gave you g to the 2nd power. We want to identify the base. The base is g. And then we want to identify that exponent. The exponent is what is the number of times you're going to multiply g by itself. So we're going to do it 2 times. So that's your exponent. Notice how the exponent's raised up, right? Expand means you're going to apply the exponent. So g squared means that you're going to multiply g times g. That's expand. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's do this one. Rewrite in exponential form. That means you're going to write it as a single base raised to a power. Exponents mean repeated multiplication. So my common base is j. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repeated multiplication 5 times. You're done. All right, that's level up 2. Take it to your teach. See how it went. All right, next one. Number 3. These really are my favorite things. And students love them too. I always put them in groups and let them work it out. We're going to combine like terms. So remember, we're looking for categories. You can only combine them if they have categories that are the same. There's a category of x. There's a category of y. And there's a category of constants. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify my x's. I have 2 plus 7. That's 9. And the category is x. I have negative 8 plus 2. That's why it's important you take the operation in front of a term, right? That operation goes with that. That operation goes with that. That one goes with that. That one goes with that. That one goes with that. They stay together. They're connected. Negative 8y plus 2y is negative 6. I have more negatives than positives. And then negative 5 minus 7, right? You borrowed $5, then you borrowed 7 more. How much you owe me? You owe me 12. Very good. Your final answer should be in alphabetical order. X comes before Y in the alphabet, and constant terms, things that don't have a category, always go last. Good job. All right, let's do number 13. I'm going to find all my categories of h squareds. Boom. The boom. The boom. Now I'm going to find all my categories of h. The boom. And the boom. And then I have my constants. I have that and that. Okay. Let's get all our h squareds together. 5 plus 1, because when there's no number in front, your coefficient, that's the number that's in front, it's called the coefficient. It's how many you have. Coefficient of 5, so you have 5h squareds plus 1h squared. That's 6h squared. 6 minus 7 is negative 1h squared. You could also write that as negative h squared. They both work. I prefer this one, so that's the one I'm going to write. Negative h squared. Okay, now I got negative 8 plus 12. Negative 8 plus 12 is plus 4. There's 4 more positives than negatives. And then I have 5 minus 9. There's 4 more negatives than positive. Now, if the variables are the same, we have to look at the exponent. H squared is not the same category as h. They are not the same. This has an exponent of 1 that's not seen. This has an exponent of 2. So, this is the final answer. Always have your exponents decreasing from left to right if your variables are the same. Alphabetical order takes precedence, but after that, it's descending order of exponents. Descending means going down. All right, we got some A's. Let's go. You can get an A on this next assessment if you work hard. I promise you that. I promise you that. Hard work will always, always achieve. And then I have these 7 B's. See if there's anything like those. Oh, there they are right there. That's nice. That's nice. Then I have these constant terms. The constant terms are here. Again, notice how that operation goes with it. And here, that operation goes with it. And then look at how we got this lone little 2b squared. Negative O. Right there. Okay, let's combine our like terms, please. 3a plus 1a is 4a. 7b minus 4b is plus 3b. Negative 8 plus 11 is plus 3. And then you have that lone negative 2b squared. Okay, alphabetical order takes precedence. So notice right away that A comes before B in the alphabet. So that term goes first. Now notice that we have these B's and these B squareds, right? Because they have the same variable, I have to look at the exponent. That exponent is greater than that exponent. So that term comes next. Then that term, and then the constant is always last. That's it, my people. That is it. Distribution. Negative 3 times 1m. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3m. Negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 5 is 15. Those are not like terms, so you cannot combine them. Now we're going to put both of these properties together. We're going to do distribution and combining like terms. Remember, we're following the order of operations. So when I distribute, I'm doing multiplication before all of my addition and subtraction. 4 times 5, because that's what distribution is, you take the number that's right up against the parenthesis and you multiply it by all the terms in the parentheses. Distribution. So 20x plus 12. 4 times 5, 4 times 3. Now the parentheses ended, so the distribution ends. And now I just write the rest of it. That is a term called x. That is a term called x. They're like, so we can combine them. These are constants. Constant, constant. All right, let's add our x's. 20 plus 6. What's that equal? 26. Let's go. Category is x. 12 plus 21. Oof, that's a little bit more difficult. Notice the tens column, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is 3, so that's 30. The ones column, 2 and 1, is 3 as well. That term is not like that term, so that is done. All right, we got one more level up, and then you are ready. You've been doing great. Level up number 4. Okay. Remember, you only distribute what is against the parenthesis. So I'm only going to distribute the negative. I am not going to distribute that -2. That's a very common mistake. So this is the distribution, which means the other terms just come down. So that -2 comes down. -1 times 16 is -16, and -1 times -2 is +2. Just like that. Okay, let's look for our like terms. There's some constant and some constant, and there's some variable term and variable term. -2 plus 2 is 0. They cancel out. -16 plus 9 is -7a. If you're struggling with that, here's a good way to look at it. -16 is 16 little individual negatives. +9 is 9 little positives. Now they cancel out, right? A negative and a positive cancels out. So those 4 negatives cancel out with those 4 positives. Those 4 negatives cancel out with those 4 positives. That 1 negative cancels out with that. I have no more positives left. So that means my count is 7 negatives. And that's how I got that. So a negative and a positive cancel out. All right, I hope that helped. This is a variable expression, and to evaluate it means that you want to go ahead and substitute in. So I'm going to substitute -7 for my p's. There's a p, there's a p, and there's a p. That's a lot of p. And then I'm going to substitute 5 for my s, right there, just one s. Okay. When I substitute in, I always use parentheses. So -7 in parentheses becomes that p, and I'm squaring it. Minus, always go from left to right. P, open a parenthesis. P plus PS means P times S. -7 squared in parentheses means -7 times -7. That is 49. Negative makes a positive, and then negative times a positive is a negative. I can write the plus, and then negative times a positive is a -35. You could have written this as 49 plus 7 minus 35. They are the same, okay? They are the same. 49 plus 7 is 56. Minus 35 is a whole lot of 21. So this is 21. It's a good number, 21, good number. Identify the coefficient. That's how many you have. That's the count, right? The coefficient here is -7, 9, 16. So the coefficient is how many you have. Here, the coefficient is, what you think? 3. Very good. How many terms is that? That's one term. There's no addition or subtraction. Multiplication, that's all being multiplied together. Multiplication does not separate terms. Is 10 minus 4 the same as 10 minus 4? What? Is 10 minus 4 the same? That's not right. I'm going to rewrite this, and I will go ahead and fix that on the PDF file before you download it. All right, so 10 minus 4. This is the commutative property, right? It's where you switch them, but you keep the operation the same. 10 minus 4 is 6. 4 minus 10 is -6. Are those the same? No. So is subtraction commutative? No, it is not. All right, when you multiply a negative and a negative number together, is the result negative or positive? Well, let's see. Let's do -2 times -5. Well, negative times negative is a positive 10. I'm going with the positive, and I like that attitude. Positive. You have done great today and every day, as long as you work hard, right? I will not praise you unless you get the job done. So get the job done, earn your praise, and be proud of what you've accomplished. Okay, stay strong. Nice job.